Hello and welcome to my first analysis / prediction of the 2024 American presidential election. I'm making this prediction as of 5:30 AM. Why am I up at 5:30? Who knows? On August the 3rd of 2023. Now, I will start by saying that this is a very early prediction and a lot of things can change. I mean, as of this time in 2019, Trump would have won probably in a landslide. This was pre-COVID and a lot of things happening that helped Joe Biden and the Democrats really change the rules and change how the game was played. But anyway, I'm going to be using the 13 keys tracker because although I don't think this is an exact science, I think it gives us a lot of key indicators as to what could go wrong. And like I say, this model was made by Alan Lichtman, I think he's done this since 1980. I can't remember, I'm probably wrong about that. It was probably 80 or 84. I mean, although some of these are quite generalised, however, he does quite reasonably clearly have a bias towards the left and Democrats and Joe Biden, as we'll get to later on down the line. But let's just get into it. So, it's a case of if 6 of these are false, Trump wins. Down here, 6 of them false, Trump wins. If 8 are true, Joe Biden wins. So we'll go through some very early ones. Midterm games, it's obviously false. Although midterms are pretty abysmal for the Republicans, they still took games in the midterms. So, easy one there. No primary contest. It's going to be likely. Chances of RFK and Marianne Williamson taking more than 23% off? Who's to say? Biden's probably going to win this really easily. Will he win it by over 60% when it's all said and done? Probably. Incumbency seeking re-election. Definite true. Now this is an interesting one right here. No third party. So basically, Lichtman says that is a third party going to get more than 5% of the popular vote? So he's saying this don't look like it, but I mean, we're like a year and 3 months out. We cannot say for certain. I mean, in some polls, Cornel West's at 4%. Is Joe Manchin going to run with no labels? Who is actually going to run for no labels? Like, hell, who knows? Because I mean, it's also a case of what if it's just such low turnout that whoever the third party is does get above 5%, purely just because nobody turns out. So this one, at the moment, I'm going to say this is just complete unknown. I mean, could it happen? Sure. To be honest, I'd say it's probably 50-50 because people hate Trump, but people also really hate Biden. So anyway, we'll leave that uncertain for now, and we'll go to the strong short-term economy. Now, at the moment, the short-term economy, I'd have to give lean to Biden. Because, I mean, you look at many polls about how people view the economy, they don't like it very much. I think it was 2/3 of people disapprove of the economy, which is very bad for Biden. In fact, the long-term economy, that is a certain point for Trump. Because the way he defines it, his economic growth exceeding the previous terms, that is completely irrelevant when how we're talking about how much inflation has absolutely gutted, and I mean gutted, what anything has gone on. I mean, I'm not even an American, but the inflation has just absolutely ravaged pretty much the entire Western world. So you just have to give that to Trump, because no one is happy with the economy, especially the long term, when inflation was raging at 9, 8, 7%. So anyway, on to major policy change. Now, this is another strange one. I mean, Lichtman says that this is true, but I mean, to be honest, this is probably true purely just because Biden just undid everything that Trump did when he came in. That's literally probably it. It's like, if you go from what Trump does and then Biden just stops it all, that is a major change in policy, whether you like it or not. That's probably very likely to be true. Now, no social unrest. Now, Lichtman says this looks positive for the White House, but you would have said the exact same thing in August 2019. And look how everything came at the scenes during 2020. So again, this, to be honest, a lot of these, such as short-term economy, third party, social unrest, I think a lot of those three in particular are too early to tell at the moment. So I think stuff like no primary contest looks like it. Midterm games, that's a definite. That's a definite unless Biden dies, because this is a matchup between Biden and Trump. The long-term economy, we're 3 years in, you should know that. Policy change, yeah. And it's like, even these two down here, we can just feel these out right now. Uncharismatic challenger. So Lichtman said in 2020 that, so Biden is an uncharismatic incumbent, so we'll put that as certain. But he's also, Trump is apparently an uncharismatic current leader. I mean, I quite like Trump. I think he's got good charisma, but a lot of people don't like him. I've also seen that, so I'm comfortable in saying that these probably balance themselves out. So I mean, it's 5-4, but then you still got some down here. So no social unrest. This, I mean, could we see massive social unrest again? I mean, literally in 2020 it just blew up. Like one day it just fucking blew up, and then that was it. That turned against Trump. Now, no scandal. I'm going to have to put this in likely for Trump. Because, I mean, the amount of stuff that is coming out about Hunter Biden and Joe and their business dealings in China and Ukraine and favourable plea deals for Hunter, you cannot say that he is not under massive scandal from Hunter Biden, whether you want to believe it or not. Hell, even the fact that they've now come out and said Hunter Biden's laptop was real, that's a scandal in itself. Because the Hunter Biden laptop story, them knowing it was real, then denying it, and then coming out after the election was won for Biden, then saying, oh yeah, by the way, this thing we all told you, that was Russian disinformation. That was true the entire time, and we've sort of just tricked you into thinking this is false. Like, that's a scandal in itself. And he says that bipartisan recognition of a something. You're never going to get bipartisan recognition of a scandal nowadays. That is this bipartisan recognition of a serious impropriety. This will never happen again. No chance in hell you will ever see them. You'll never see the Republicans and the Democrats both agree on someone having a serious impropriety. So anyway, no foreign failure. Now this is where you see Lichtman's bias. Despite the apparent Afghanistan withdrawal failure and the optics were bad, it was successful, but it's forgotten. So he's pretty much saying, no one's talking about this, so it's win for Biden. No? Are you telling me that on the campaign trail, when they're talking about the war in Ukraine, which that in itself I am classifying as a massive foreign and military failure. If the Russians have invaded a sovereign nation under your watch, not just even a small nation, one of the largest nations in Europe, Ukraine, and we have been in full-scale warfare for over a year and a half. That is a humongous military failure. And in fact, down here he says that the response to the Russian-Ukraine is a success. The fact that we're pushing Russia to the brink of using a nuclear weapon, destabilizing literally the entirety of Europe, that is a success. And people hate how much money has been going to Ukraine. Are you telling me that when they're on the debate stage, and if the war is still going on, which by then, the chances of Ukraine winning the war by then, very small. The chances of the Russians possibly even defeating Ukraine by then, that is likely. I mean, if you look at the Ukrainians, you look at some of the reports coming out of there, the actual professional soldiers, they're all gone. They're all dead. The war has been going on for a year and a half. The actual Ukrainians that could feasibly maybe launch a counterattack, that's gone. People were saying the Russians in a weak position. Russia's in one of the strongest positions they've been in years. They're selling their oil for massive profits. They've never been doing better. No, and hell, you're even seeing fucking drone strikes in Moscow. So how you can say that this is a military success for Joe Biden? That is insane. These two are undeniable in for Trump. Because when they're on that debate stage and Trump says he will make peace and he will stop the fighting and he will stop the flow of money to Ukraine, what's Joe Biden going to say to that? Is he going to say, yes, I will do the same thing. You're fucking president. You should just do it now. And in fact, if you look at this, Trump wins. So literally, we've not even filled in no third party and no social unrest. So hell, we could even say there would definitely be no third party and there would definitely be no social unrest. This model, Trump still wins because look, think about it. What are undeniable here? Midterm gains, charismatic incumbent. Those are the two that are fully undeniable. Yeah? Okay, so people have despised the economy. You say, oh, the Republicans didn't perform in the midterms. It's because the Republicans suck balls. You've got Mitch McConnell doing a fucking awful job. He literally did not fund a single person. And you had a spike in a massive youth turnout as well, which nobody saw that coming. So it's a case of, yeah, it was bad. But it's like, you could just say, hell, who's to say not in 20 years would just say, oh yeah, that 2022, that was weird. That was a blip. And just look at when you look at all the polls about the economy, people say it has been fucking abysmal. They hate it. They hate Biden economics. And hell, even in 2020, when COVID was raging and people were losing their jobs left, right and centre, Trump was still trusted on the economy more. So this has definitely got to be in a Trump column, in my opinion anyway. And hell, even you look, no scandal. Even if you say, okay, even if you say, you know what, take scandal out of the equation, and then we get rid of third party and social unrest, because we cannot see that yet. That is, like, if there's mass social unrest a week before the election, you telling me that's not going to go in favour of Trump? So even if we take that out and say, you know what, all these scandals coming out of Joe Biden, it's still, like, it's bad, but you know what, people aren't going to care, which they probably do. At the end of the day, that will probably turn off independents from going to vote for him again. Then it's a case of, well, that means even if there's a decent third party challenger or social unrest, Trump wins. Like, it's literally that simple. Now, there is some coping mechanisms. I have seen some of the people on, well, the term that has been used is election mafia, and I quite like that, to be honest. I think that's quite funny. But I mean, this is from my opinion as someone who lives over in the UK, and like, nobody likes Joe Biden. Like, nobody in Europe likes Joe Biden. And it's a case of the fact that you're seeing these many scandals come out. Like, the thing about this is, this doesn't even have to switch voters over to Trump. All that needs to happen is, let's just say, you know, because of these scandals, people are like, you know what, I'm just not going to vote. I don't like either of them. Biden cannot afford to lose anyone in this election. Literally anyone. He cannot afford to lose them. Like, his election victory in 2020 was so narrow that if the Trump support holds, which it looks like it will, because no Republicans that vote for Trump in 2020 are probably going to leave him, and all the moderates that Trump got, they're not going to leave him either. Like, that's the way it's looking like to pan out. I mean, you look at people like Tim Pool, who voted for Trump in 2020. They're not leaving him. In fact, if you voted for Trump in 2020, you're probably going to be supporting him again. Has Joe Biden done anything good for you? Probably not. And it's like, the amount of people that voted for Joe Biden in 2020 that have just never voted before due to lockdowns, universal mail-in ballots, ballot harvesting. That's the name of the game there. That's how he won in 2020. And now Trump's talking about playing that game as well. And with no lockdowns, which, I mean, are they going to be lockdowns in 2024? Who the fuck knows? There could be. That's how he could win. But I mean, with no lockdowns, no universal mail-in voting, like, all those voters who never voted before, that went in the Biden column, they're just not going to be there. And it's a case of, let's say, and if Joe Biden is as unpopular as we think, let's just say people go, you know what, it's just a 2016 scenario. People will just say, you know what, the Democrats probably got this in a bag. We're just going to go. The polls show Biden's probably going to win. But I mean, even now, if you look at Real Clear Politics average, Biden plus 0.9. What? So Biden's up by 1%. And you remember how awful the polls were in 2020? Like, I mean, look, the latest poll from New York Times Siena, it has it as a tie. And how one of the things I like to point out is, so look, I remember this Marquette poll. This had no undecideds. So it's 50-50, tie. 100%, so it has no undecideds. So if you look at all these polls, yeah? How many polls actually have Joe Biden above 44%? So you got 40, Morning Consult 44. Economist, you got 44. So only 2 polls here in the actual average have Biden above 44%. So it's sort of a case of, maybe people just aren't going to turn out for him. I mean, and that right there, that I think is what's going to help. I mean, as of right now, I'd probably give Trump probably say 60-40 chance of winning. I think Biden can still come back. But at the same time, is anyone enthusiastic about voting for Joe Biden? Very few. You look at the enthusiasm of Trump, is probably at an all-time high. Loads of people are now admitting that Trump is in a good position to win. Anyone that tells you that Biden has a great chance of winning, they're lying to you. This election will be razor thin again. However, at the end of the day, when you look at Trump playing the ballot harvesting game, his messaging has become a lot better. He's focusing less on 2020, more on current events. Joe Biden being a very weak candidate, it's like Trump could easily win this. But then again, it is only August 3rd of 2023. A lot can change by then.